rained really bad in Texas a few days ago, and we have lots of mold issues. So I have a frog in my throat or something.
No worries.
Is it good?
We're on. We're ready.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Beverly Boytim. I'm going to talk about essential oils in the brain. I'm also going to talk about some other things, gut issues and stuff like that, that I've learned, especially in this journey with Robert, about how important the gut is with brain healing, and then the oils we used on him. So um, I have been using Young Living essential oils since 2005, and I didn't want to go into depth about why I use Young Living and why I recommend Young Living, but I did just want to encourage you to kind of research for yourself. There's a video by a lady named Jen O'Sullivan about the purity of essential oils. There's also a really good brand comparison chart that that she also does, that just kind of compares the different brands and what about them and stuff like that. So our story about why we started using oils and even looking into alternative therapy, and y'all can tell me if I'm talking. I talk really fast and I get nervous, and I'm pretty nervous. So yeah, I'll slow down. So in 2005, we had our first son, Richard, and he was colicky from the beginning. We walked him day and night. Um, and when we switched him from breastfeeding to formula, he started getting constant ear infections. And we went to the doctor. We went through different runs of antibiotics, and the antibiotics would work while he was on them. And as soon as he got off of them, the ear infection would come back. And so we scheduled with an ENT. We're going to go to an ENT and get tubes put in. And my husband said, call that snake oil lady that you've been talking to, and see what she says to do. So we did, and she told us to take him off all milk products. She told us to use essential oils with him, one called Leadum down his Astacia tubes to help them drain, a blend called Thieves on the bottom of his feet, and we put colloidal silver in his ears. And after 3 days, he slept through the night, which was the first time since he had been born. He was probably about 6 months old at this point, and we were exhausted, and we actually woke up really scared because we thought something had happened to him. So that was it. My husband said, go sign up, do whatever you have to do. We're going to start learning about these, replacing the things we have in our home with these. So we've done that. So when we did go to the ENT, when we went, his ears were clear. They said he didn't need tubes. And that was it. So we went home, signed up, started replacing our over-the-counter drugs. But that is what started me kind of on a quest for why. Why did these little drops of oils help on the bottom of his feet? Why did taking him off of milk help? What did that mean? I thought, what does it matter what they're putting in their body at that time? I just really had no clue. I ended up going through the school that lady kind of mentored me. She was an herbalist, a master herbalist, and I did attend the school that she goes to. I became an herbalist. I haven't gone on to be a master herbalist just because it would require me to go to Utah for 3 weeks, and I always figured I would do that when my babies were grown. Sorry, I have my notes here. So, and I do want to say that using oils, herbs, supplements, and all of that is great. It's just a Band-Aid if you're not doing things to heal your gut, to get the toxins out of your home in other ways too. There is a thing, and I know this is, and we will get to essential oils, I promise, but there's something that's very important in the body called the microbiome. And y'all might have heard that. It's probably backwards on this, and I don't have any way to turn that around. So the microbiome it's the combined genetic information on your body, and in your body it's fungus and viruses and bacteria and everything. So, a lot of us, we want to kill all the bacteria, kill all the funguses, kill all the bacteria, but actually it's a lot of it's a part of us. So what we want to do is we want to feed those things that support the good guys in our guts, the probiotics, fermented foods, herbs, things like that. We want to take out the things that are killing our microbiome in our gut, and that's the sugar, the dyes, the processed food, and the drugs. A lot of our drugs that we take damage our health, damage our microbiome. A lot of people do know about antibiotics, and that's kind of not popular, but that's known now. Antibiotics hurt the gut, so you should take probiotics afterwards. But a lot of people don't realize that things like Tylenol not only hurt our gut, hurt our liver, but there are actually studies coming out that they cause brain damage and cell death. That is all online. You can just search Tylenol and brain damage, and there are studies that have been done. It also reduces our glutathione, which is produced by our liver to help us detox. So really anything you're putting in your body, you need to be looking at how is this affecting me holistically on a cellular level. Okay, so all the neurotransmitters found in your brain are also found in your gut. So nothing is going to happen in your brain if your gut isn't working properly. Almost all the neurotransmitters your brain needs to transfer signals are created in your gut. So if your gut's not healthy, you're not creating these neurotransmitters, you're creating the wrong ones, your brain isn't going to function right. You also should start looking at the chemicals you have in your home, your cleaners, your deodorizers, your candles, your laundry detergent, fabric softener. These things aren't only neurotoxic, but they're actually endocrine disruptors. So they will mess with your hormones as a parent, your thyroid. It messes with your brain, their brain, everything. You can look up at it. The Environmental Protection Agency did a study called the top 10 killer household chemicals. And on that list, there were air fresheners, plug-ins, candles, dishwasher, dish soap, all of these things that you're using on your body, in your body, that are, on your child's body, what you're bathing them with, all of those things are just interacting with the brain, with the gut. So I did want to kind of say that, to start off with, that all of those things are also having an effect on your brain or on your child's brain. So you're going to want to look at those things, research that stuff, and see what you would like to change in your home. Okay, what are essential oils? Essential oils are the most powerful part of the plant. They're what they call the lifeblood of the plant. They're the distilled down parts of the flowers, the shrubs, the herbs, the resins, like frankincense is a resin that's distilled down. They consist of over 100 natural compounds that work through trauma. They energize the plant. They energize when they're used on you. They energize you. And they've been used for hundreds of years. They're talked about in the Bible over and over. And they affect you on the cellular level. They provide support for all of your systems, your skeletal system, your brain, your muscular system. And we're going to talk more about the brain tonight and which oils specifically focus on the brain. Your circulatory system, your endocrine system, your hormones. They can support your liver, your kidney, your heart. All of it. So in our home, we use a diffuser. Here's one right here. And so when I'm diffusing things in the house, it's not just to make the house smell good. And so I'm not diffusing cheap oils just because they smell good. I'm diffusing therapeutic grade oils because not only are they not hurting us, they're not a candle with fragrances and things that are actually harming us, but they are actually helping us. They're helping our body, helping our brains. There's about 300 essential oils out there that they've discovered, that they've distilled down, but you really only need about 10 or 20 of them to kind of start going and start using them daily. In most cases, you're just rubbing them on your skin, you're smelling them, but the purity becomes very, very important then, because one of the reasons the essential oils are so effective is that they are believed to cross the blood-brain barrier. And once they cross, they can absorb and interact with the receptors in the central nervous system and help support the brain, support brain healing. So when you're using them medicinally, it's important that you have a high quality oil that you're using, or that's going to increase the toxic load on the brain. To kind of put this in another light, if you were eating a non-organic apple and sprayed by pesticides, you get a little bit of that in your body. If you think about essential oils and how they're distilled down, it takes 60,000 rose blossoms to make 1 ounce of oil. So, and this is about 1 ounce of oil. So it takes 60,000 rose blossoms to make a bottle this big. That's like eating the whole apple tree with all the pesticides in it, because you've distilled all that down and you put it in this little bitty bottle. It takes 220 pounds of lavender to make 7 pounds of oil. So if you've distilled all that down and it has pesticides and chemicals and all of that on it, then that's going to be in your bottle that you're then putting on. And with the lipid structure of essential oils, the fat structure is why one reason they're believed to cross the blood-brain barrier, you're going to be carrying all of that stuff over as well. So essential oils are believed to cross the blood-brain barrier because doctors believe that in order for things to cross the blood-brain barrier, they need to be 800 to 1,000 AMUs, is what they call them, atomic mass units. It's a molecular weight. Most essential oils are less than 500 AMU, so they're very small. They're lipid. Usually things that are water soluble don't cross the blood-brain barrier, but things that are lipid do cross the blood-brain barrier. So that's why it's believed. There's a really good book called The Chemistry of Essential Oils by Dr. David Stewart. Very thick. My husband's read most of this. So if you're really interested in learning exactly why the chemistry works like that, that would be really great to get. Healing Oils of the Bible is also one that we recommend by Dr. David Stewart. Lots of oils in the Bible that just talks about biblical times and how they've been used over the centuries. Inhalation is the most direct delivery method. So just opening them up and smelling them. Helichrysum isn't the best smelling oil. Will's laughing at me. So when I'm using these on Robert, I'm just putting and you use essential oils by the drop, it looks like a little bitty bottle, but you're using a drop of it because 1 drop of peppermint is equivalent to 26 cups of peppermint tea. So you're not going to sit down and drink 26 cups of peppermint tea. So you're going to use 1 little drop on you, or even touch the top of it and put it on. So there are 3 terpenes found in essential oils, and I hope I'm not getting too, I don't want to get too sciencey. But the one that you really want to look at is called sesquiterpenes. Sesquiterpenes are the brain oxygenating molecules. And one thing that Dr. David Stewart says is sesquiterpene molecules deliver oxygen molecules to cells like hemoglobin does to the blood. Sesquiterpenes can also erase or deprogram miswritten codes in the DNA. So these are the real important things. And I did print out a thing. I didn't realize they would come around backwards or I would have. So this has some of the highest sesquiterpene oils, and I know it's backwards because you can't read it. Cedarwood is the highest with 98%, and then vetiver, spikenard, sandalwood, black pepper, patchouli, myrrh, ginger, and frankincense. And there have been studies on this. Studies that were performed at Vienna and Berlin institutes found that sesquiterpenes found in essential oils of vetiver, patchouli, cedarwood, sandalwood, and frankincense can increase the level of oxygen in the brain by up to 28%. So it's real easy to go online to search. You'll find things in Cochrane, things in PubMed on essential oils and how they've been used. So the ones we've used with Robert and that we feel are the most beneficial for brain healing. This is my number 1 go-to, absolutely using on Robert every day, and it's called Brain Power. It has some of the highest sesquiterpene oils in it. So it has cedarwood, sandalwood, ylang ylang. Ylang ylang helps with the messaging parts of the brain, and it's 55% sesquiterpenes. Helichrysum's been studied by European researchers for regenerating tissue and nerves. It's 40% sesquiterpenes. Cypress is in here. That's great for circulation. Frankincense, there's lots. And so what I do with this is there's a thing called a roller ball on this, and they sell them on Amazon. Be sure to get a metal one because any oils that you get that has citrus in it will dissolve that. And then when you go to roll it on, you have a dumped oil all in your lap. So on Robert, every morning when he gets up and he gets dressed, this goes along the base of his skull, just like that. I don't worry about how much gets on him. I use it neat, which is undiluted. I don't have, Robert's been using, we anointed him with something called Clariderm, which has frankincense and myrrh and helichrysum and all of these things in it the day he was born. So he's been using these oils for a long time. If you want it diluted, though, there is something called Genius. It's the Kid Sense line, and it's already diluted. Everything in their Kid Sense line is diluted. It doesn't have all the same oils, but it has a lot of them. I didn't use Brain Power from day 1. I didn't really know a lot about it. I used Trauma Life from day 1. But the one thing I did use from day 1 was frankincense. Frankincense is just known historically as the brain oil. It also helps it helps increase the oxygenation of the brain, but it also helps the brain absorb oxygen. So this is something that I put on Robert every day before we went into the chamber. Now, when we were in New Orleans and we were getting in the chamber, and they actually asked me if I used essential oils. I said yes. And they said, which ones? And I said, Young Living. And they said, that's fine to get in the chamber with. So you have to be very, very careful, because some oils are cut with things. Some of them are actually chemicals and not really the oil. And so they can catch on fire in the chamber. So, so she was very particular about, I used a certain brand, and I said Young Living. She said that was fine. So frankincense is one, cedarwood, the highest in sesquiterpenes. So 98% sesquiterpenes, which is those brain oxygenating terpenes. We use this oil in the evenings. It stimulates the release of melatonin. So it helps with restful sleep. So I actually have, a lot of y'all already know this calming spray that I make up, and it has 20 drops of cedarwood, frankincense, lavender, and valerian. And I spray that on Robert's pillow a lot. I'll take cedarwood and I'll just open it and touch the top of it and put that on his big toe before bed. Sometimes I diffuse it. That helps all of us sleep. Peppermint. Peppermint is something we use all day in the house when our oldest son isn't here. Card or Richard doesn't like the smell of peppermint, and so I've stopped diffusing it at the house when he's home. But we did use it for years for, we homeschool. So whenever the kids were doing school, I'd put it on. There's actually a lot of studies out there of kids smelling it before they did tests, and they did better on their test. So it's just a really great oil for brain. We use it more for energy, for brain, like it's not going to calm you. It's going to have the opposite effect. We also use it in the house for any tummy issues. We use it for headaches, allergies. There's an allergy blend that is peppermint and lemon and lavender in the diffuser, a couple drops of each. We try to diffuse that when we're having, mold and all the tree pollen and all of that in Texas a lot. So we do that a lot. Thieves. Thieves we used from day one on Robert in the hospital. I didn't care if they weren't going to let me use it or not. I was going to use it. They did. They let us use it. We could put them on Robert. We could diffuse. They were fine with it. So Thieves was actually, there was so much research out there before it got pulled off the internet about Thieves and them using it in hospitals for MRSA. And they were specific about it being Young Living Thieves, which now a lot of the studies and things actually pulls. It's just a generic essential oil, so it'll say a blend of clove and this, that, and the other. So, but before a lot of that was pulled off the internet, there was stuff with them using it in MRSA. So we knew how important it was. Secondary infections are such a problem in the hospital when you're in the hospital with your little one. So we were using it on him every day, and we were diffusing it every day. We use Thieves cleaning stuff in our home that's what we clean with. There's a household cleaner, and that's the only thing we use as cleaner. Copa Iba, which Will went and got for me. Copa Iba is one of the highest anti-inflammatory oils that there are. It has and I'm going to say this wrong, it has kind of the same reaction that CBD does. It activates the cannabinoid receptors. I think I said that right. So it's not the same as CBD, but it has a lot of the same action in the brain as CBD. You want to reduce inflammation as fast as possible, especially early on. So this was one that we did use on Robert a lot. I actually would take it, put my thumb on it, and put it in the roof of his mouth. When we were in New Orleans, it's just, I'm comfortable with that. Not everybody is comfortable with that, and that is fine. Do your research, look into it. The French use them internally. Europeans do not. It's just kind of one of those things. Helichrysum, which I already had helichrysum. Helichrysum is amazing for inflammation. So I've literally watched my kids bonk and put helichrysum on it, and it goes back down. Brain injury involves some destructive inflammation. So these things, the helichrysum, the Copa Iba, frankincense, all of those things are going to be the things you're wanting to use for the inflammation. Lavender, we use lavender all the time. They call it the Swiss Army knife of essential oils. Everybody uses it for all kinds of things. We use it for burns, for allergies, for calming. Most everybody likes lavender. Not everybody likes the smell of lavender. We use it all the time. Stress Away is one that we have used since day one. We use it all the time. This is a little roller ball. It's diluted Stress Away. I should put some on right now. We use it anytime. I mean, most of these are carried in a pouch in my purse, and I go everywhere with them, and I use them for anything. So anytime we're away from the house, this comes out. This calming spray that I make, and we talked about the cedarwood, the frankincense, the lavender, all of them, the cedarwood and frankincense especially being high in the sesquiterpenes. But valerian has valerianic acid in it, which has been shown to inhibit the breakdown of GABA. I know a lot of people hear about GABA. It's a compound that regulates nerve activity. It affects the brain and the nervous system. So when this interacts with the brain, it creates a calming sensation. So that's the reason that I put valerian in this. So we kind of have this system that Robert is always getting spritzed. This is a spray. He's always getting spritzed with stuff. He's always getting oils applied to him. So when he has a diaper change, he gets spritzed or sprayed, or he gets something rubbed on him. Brain power is always first thing in the morning to make sure that I do that. If he's starting to have a runny nose or something, Thieves goes on him. So I kind of go through those things. And you don't have to be like an aromatherapist or an herbalist to learn all of this. It's actually, there's a lot of information out there. And I know sometimes you don't want to trust, Google, Dr. Google. But there are actually essential oil desk references. And these desk references will have every oil and what it's good for, and then they will have things like how to use them specifically for cold sores. It has all the oils that are for cold sores, for a blocked tear duct, for eye infections, those kinds of things. So you grab one of these and you start learning how to use them. And I mean, I know I went to a school to become an herbalist, but a lot of this stuff I have learned way after. So there's only so much that my brain can keep in about herbs and such. So a lot of it is, when I started having babies, I started using the oils. It was what I did when I had little ones. So everything pertained to having babies and what I use on infants and that kind of stuff. And now it's gone a lot further out into the brain. There's a lot of oils I use on the daily basis. I can't go into all of them. I have a bunch of them over here. Oh, and I do make up things like not supposed to say the name of this, but I use it during flu season. And it has thieves and tea tree and oregano and lemon. And I can say that oregano has been studied. There are studies out there that oregano is just as effective as antibiotics in the body. But it would not have the bad side effects of killing all of your good gut bacteria. So this is something that we make up. We put a roller ball on it. Everybody rolls it on their feet during the winter time. Panaway, we use that for all kinds of, it used to be called Pain Away, but it has to be called Panaway now. This is a myelin sheath repair that I kind of put together. This is supposed to go to somebody. And it has peppermint and frankincense and sacred frankincense and valor and lemongrass in it. It is diluted. So with hot oils, you want to dilute lemongrass. It would be a hot oil, and you wouldn't want to put that directly on. You wouldn't want to put oregano directly on. You will definitely be woke up. And so we just pretty much replaced everything in our home with those. We replaced all of our cleaning supplies with clean stuff. Like I talked about Thieves, the home cleaner. These are really cute, good little books. It's called The Chemical Free Home, that have do-it-yourself recipes on how to make all of your cleaners, this is a baby one. This was one of the first books that I read. It's called Green This, and talked about chemicals and stuff. So it's just not specific to young living. It's just a book that this lady wrote. And so, but just talking about how they affect your hormones, your thyroid, your endocrine system, your liver, your heart, cancer. I mean, all of those things are in that. And so I did want to take a little bit to talk about some of the herbs that we use as well, because I'm an herbalist at heart. that would totally be what I did if we still lived in villages, as I would be like the village herbalist. I would have my little apothecary and everybody would come in and and I would be, oh, use this and this. But it's just really convenient. These make it really convenient to carry these around instead of pounds of oils, pounds of lavender, pounds of helichrysum or whatever. They come in convenient little bottles. So that's why I use so many oils. Red raspberry leaf tea is one of the things that we have used for years in our home. The girls and I use it for female things. If you look up red raspberry tea, it's so good for so many female issues. But it's full of vitamins and minerals and things that the body can absorb. Vitamins and minerals. A lot of times our supplements are hard for our body to pull all of the stuff out of it. So really putting it in a tea form, it's so absorbable for the body. So we do it in a French press. I put about a fourth of a cup, pour the hot water over it, and 5 minutes later put it down. It's pretty mild tasting. My kids will just drink it, but you can sweeten it with honey. You can sweeten it with stevia. A lot of times we grow our own stevia plants, and I'll go out and pick out a leaf and throw it in there. The stevia in the store that's white is very processed, usually chemically processed. So it's not with a chemical solvent. So it's not something that we use a lot in the house. I use a green powder stevia if I have to use powder stevia. Um, Slippery elm and flax oil. Now this might be kind of, y'all are like, slippery elm, what is that? When Robert was constipated in the hospital, we tried Digize. We tried Digize is an oil blend. We tried tummy jives. We tried all these things and we couldn't get him moving. I wish I would have thought of slippery elm and flax. I don't know if they would have let me try it, but those things can really help to get you moving. We did end up in the hospital using Miralax. I I'm not crazy about Miralax. You can research Miralax, but there are a lot of families out there that in 2006 went to the FDA and said our children are having depression, anger, anxiety, mood swings, all of these emotional issues, and we attribute it to Miralax. And the FDA said we have to wait 10 years to do a study on that. So they didn't even start any studies till 2016. They were supposed to complete them in 2018. I haven't seen that. You can look up, if you just look that up, Miralax, and a website will come up where it kind of documents all of everything that they've been through to try to get that. So if Miralax affects the emotions like that, I would think it was affecting the brain. It does coat the lining of the stomach with a waxy substance. That decreases the ability to absorb nutrients. It's actually not FDA approved for use in children under the age of 17, but a lot of our kids are on it full time. Robert was on it, until we got off some of the other medications. Some of the medications he was on are smooth muscle relaxants, which that makes sense now to me later on, that your bowel is a smooth muscle, so it's not going to work correctly if you're on something that's making it not work correctly. So once we got him off of those things, his bowel started working, thank goodness, and he didn't need the Miralax, he didn't need suppositories. So, so slippery elm, flax oil, really good for those things. I mean, if your kids are constipated right now, I would start trying those things, putting Digize on, slippery elm, flax. Those are things you can put if they have a G tube. You can put it in a G tube. I put red raspberry in Robert's G tube as a tea form. Flax oil would be easy, to add. Chamomile. Chamomile has been studied and was found to be a free radical scavenger. So when you're doing hyperbaric, it creates oxidative stress. And one of the ways that I was hoping to combat the oxidative stress that hyperbaric could induce, which we didn't really see that with Robert during our hyperbaric sessions, is chamomile tea. So I would make the tea, I would take a little bit of it and put it in Robert's G tube during his feeding sessions. It also has anti-inflammatory actions, oxidative actions. So, Dr. Sears fish oil. That's something that we've used since we were in the hospital. Thankfully, somebody reached out to us very early on and said, check out this fish oil. And there's been lots of studies, lots of them specifically on Dr. Sears, and it's reducing inflammation. There's research in Sweden where they found that omega-3 supplements can cross the blood-brain barrier. It's those little small lipid molecules that helps inflammation. We have some of the studies listed on Robert's website, just the ones that are done on the Dr. Sears stuff. Dr. Sears fish oil does have the highest amount of EPA and DHA that we've seen in any fish oil. We've looked at a lot of them. And so that's just what we have settled on for that. He does sell a thing called Sea Health that's aloe vera and trace minerals that helps to break up the fish oil, I guess into littler globules, into microglobules they call it. And they have put together a brain injury kit where they will send you, and we don't make anything off of this, by the way. I don't think that we're like representing them, where they'll send you the fish oil, the trace mineral, or the Sea Health, and an inflammation kit. It's a finger prick, and you put it on a card, send it back to them, and they'll basically in 6 months you do it again, and it kind of shows you how the fish oil has been working in your brain, or not in your brain, sorry, but just been working in your body and your blood. Sleepy nights from Wish Garden, and I wish I would have brought the bottle with me, but I didn't. Milky oat tops have been used to improve nerve function following a brain damage, a brain injury for a long time. And milky oat tops is one of the first ingredients in Sleepy Nights. So I got a bottle of that in New Orleans, and we started using that, hoping to get Robert a good night's sleep, and also hoping to help him with the brain with the milky oat tops. Blueberry powder and smoothies. Blueberries are very, very high in antioxidants. They reduce inflammation. They're neuroprotective. They act through a lot of pathways to reduce damage, death, and dysfunction of your brain neurons. So Robert drinks smoothies. If he wasn't drinking smoothies, I would be making him things and putting them in the G-tube. I didn't do blueberries when he was on the G-tube. He's off the G-tube now. I didn't do blueberries when he was on the G-tube. If I had found this blueberry powder, I probably would have. But it's so many things that you can be adding and doing to be helping right now, and any little thing that you can do to be helping, and maybe if your child's on a lot of medications, maybe helping them to pull back from those and help the body to start healing. Turmero from Apex is one. Curcumin is curcumin is from turmeric, and it's been shown to be just a systematic anti-inflammatory, just like CBD oil, are not acting the same, but just in that it's a systemic thing. It's all over your body, anti-inflammatory, not just pinpointing one thing. We found that at a health food store in Austin. Put Robert on that probably a year after we got out of the hospital, and we've used it on and off. And there's none of these things that I've used every day, all the time. Everything's kind of been on and off, except fish oil. Fish oil has absolutely been there every day. CBD oil, we haven't settled on a certain brand of CBD oil. We switch around a lot. I actually just made our own CBD oil this last time. We have not given that to Robert. I'm trying it on me first. Dr. Crawford did a talk on CBD oil that is much more informative than anything that I could say. It basically, studies are just showing that CBD decreases inflammation, promotes blood flow to the brain, reduces further injury damage after the injury. If I had known early on about CBD, it's one of the things I really wish I would have started in the beginning. With an anoxic brain injury, it's the reperfusion injury that's actually really, really damaging. So when the blood and the oxygen returns back to the tissue, it creates a toxic cascade of damage. It creates a lot of inflammation. And so if you're in the hospital and you're trying to combat those things, and they're not going to put you in a chamber, because that would, in our opinion, would be the absolutely best thing to do, because it stops the cascade of damage. It stops the reperfusion injury from happening. But there's very few hospitals that are going to do that. So if we had it to do over again, the things we would have started the fish oil, we would have done the turmero, we would have done the CBD oil. We already used all the oils, but those are some things we would have added to our they call it parent supplied nutrition. They'll a lot of times let you sign a form, and that's what we would have done. So that's it. I had a lot of other things I was going to say about oils and like how they were made and stuff, but I didn't want to like bore any, I didn't want to bore anybody and the microbiome and stuff. So are there any questions? Are there anything I didn't address?
If people can just leave their cameras off while they're asking questions, that would be ideal since we're recording it. So please,
Okay,
if you have a question. Some people were chatting over. Can you see the chat?
Oh, no. Oh, no, I don't. Look at that.
Most of them that are for you are kind of down at the bottom.
It was not backwards. Okay. All right. Oh, the essential oil desk reference. That somebody asked about that. Oh, can you bring me the Tumero out of the? So the essential oil desk reference. It's written by Life Science Publishing is who it's written by. This is actually the first. I brought out my really pretty one. It's the first edition of the desk reference that they ever did years ago. But yeah. And so they have a lot of different editions. I think they're on the seventh or eighth edition. But I like this one too because it has a lot of information in it that they couldn't transfer over in later years. So, and the turmeric is called Apex Energetics. And it's called Tumero Active. And it actually has one thing you need with so many things are in my brain that I don't feel like I got out correctly. You really need black pepper with turmeric to activate it. So a lot of people don't know that. They'll use turmeric and this has both. It has the turmeric and the black pepper extract in it. So that was important to me. I knew you needed black pepper to activate turmeric. So this has both of them. So it does stain things yellow. So watch out. Okay. Yeah. And I guess if they wanted to ask questions on the comments too, I don't dilute all my oils with coconut oil before applying. I know my kids. I know which ones they can use, which ones they can't. It was a hard learning curve, but like I still have a child that actually Richard, 15 years old. I can't use thieves on him undiluted. He gets really red. Every other child in the house has no problem with it. But if there are hot oils, and you'll know oregano, lemongrass, cinnamon, those things are really hot oils. So yes, I would dilute those, but I haven't had to dilute thieves on most of my kids, even though they have a lot of those oils in them. If you wanted to, I mean, I do dilute oils. This myelin sheath that I have, it has lemongrass in it. So it actually is diluted with coconut oil, and it's diluted with the liquid coconut oil, not the stuff that hardens up when it gets cold. But I do dilute them, and I have tons of old empty essential oil bottles that I'll take and I'll put oils in it, different things, and I'll pop a roller ball on top of it, or I'll put the thing back in it and always label it. Can I say that enough? Because there's so many little bottles sitting around my house that don't have labels, and I open them up I'm like, what is this for? Is it okay to layer multiple oils on top of each other? It is okay to layer, yes. And actually a lot of herbs, I'm glad y'all asked these because I have low battery. Can you get a charger for me? So yes, it is. And actually there's a lot of oils that are catalyst for other oils. Peppermint is a catalyst. So if you put on copaiba for some kind of inflammation, you have some wrist issues, you put on some copaiba, let that dry for 20 or 30 seconds, put a drop of peppermint on it, it will drive that down deeper into your body. When do kids transition from baby oils to older oils like Genius versus Brain Power? I've used, before they had a kids line, I used a lot of the oils on my babies. It's been so long now since I've had a baby. Robert's 5. I do remember did have bottles of oils in my room like thieves. I would put 20 drops of thieves and I would fill the bottle the rest of the way up. I'm trying to plug in my phone so maybe it'll charge. fill it the rest of the way up with that liquid coconut oil, MCT oil, or something like that. This one doesn't work with my phone. I'm sure I'll get through it before it completely dies. The other thing I used to do is take little 4-ounce jelly jars, and I would actually put the coconut oil that does harden, because it is full of all kinds of good antibacterial, antifungal stuff. And I would fill it up, and I would put about 20 drops of thieves, or 20 drops of peppermint, or frankincense, whatever I wanted to put, and I would stir that up, and I'll sit it on, we have a changing table that I have all my stuff on, and it would harden, and I would actually take that. I remember we would bathe our little ones. I would take that a little bit out, and I'd rub it up their spine, rub it on the bottom of their feet, and they got, really soft skin because of the coconut oil, but we were using the oils too, and we were stretching them, because I remember, I still stretch my oils a lot, but I remember wanting to stretch my oils as far as they would go. So if you're using 4 ounces of that coconut oil with 20 drops of thieves, you're really stretching that, but you're still getting a lot of the good stuff in it. What does myelin sheath oil contain? So this has peppermint, frankincense. It has an oil called sacred frankincense. It has valor, and it has lemongrass, and it has 35 drops of peppermint and frankincense, and 25 drops of each of the other oils, sacred frankincense, valor, and lemongrass. And then I put that in this bottle, and then I filled it the rest of the way up with the coconut oil. And you want to do it that way. There's a lot of chemistry that goes into essential oil, so a lot of people don't realize that when they put together a blend like Thieves, they don't just drop all the oils in there and send it out to you. There's actually a process that goes with it. So they'll do the cinnamon, and then they'll put it into cool for a little bit. They'll pull it back out, bring it back to room temperature, put something else in, put it into cool, bring it back out. Don't let it come to room temperature, put something else in. So there's a lot of science that goes behind that. But when you're mixing your oils, like if you want to put together something like the myelin sheath, or this winter season blend that has thieves and tea tree and oregano and lemon in it, you're going to want to put the oils in the bottom first and kind of let them interact with each other, because if you put the oil in first and then put them on, they don't get a chance to kind of blend together. So I always put my oils in first. I kind of swirl them around a little bit and let them all mix, and then add my my dilution oil to it. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's what's in the myelin sheath, and I actually got that recipe off of I have an essential oils desk reference on my phone app on my phone, and it said, I looked up brain injury, and one of the things that's damaged in brain injury is the myelin sheath is usually stripped out. And so I found this it didn't tell me how many drops. I just kind of made that up myself. And I put that there, and I put this together and mail it out to people. So if you want to, I actually have this put together to mail it to someone. I'm not real prompt with it, so forgive me. This has been sitting on my counter to mail out for probably a week now. But I give away these things just because, I want to help. So those are the oils that it contains, though. The calming spray, one of my favorite things. Yes. And so it has 20 drops of cedarwood, frankincense, lavender, and valerian. So not only are these the high, the cedarwood and the frankincense, the cedarwood's the highest in sesquiterpenes. Frankincense has 8%, but they're all really calming sprays. So essential oils affect your body. They affect your heart rate, your blood pressure, I've heard stories of people that go to the doctor and they get really nervous. And so before they go in, they'll put some lavender or even cedar, something really calming on their wrist, and smell it for a few minutes and go in, and they don't have high blood pressure. Not saying it fixes high blood pressure. What I'm saying is that they would get really nervous going to the doctor. And so it would make their blood pressure appear high. And they knew it wasn't high because they take it at home and it's fine. And so they go to the doctor, though, and it would be high, and he would say, your blood pressure is really high. And they're like, yeah. So I've heard stories of those kinds of things. Any particular MCT oil I use? I actually use for internal use or just for diluting. So if I'm diluting, I use an organic one from Amazon. But if I'm taking MCT oil internally or giving it to Robert internally, which we do use MCT oil internally for him, I try to use the Bulletproof brand called Brain Octane. But I have been trying to find one that's in glass. So with fats, I don't like buying my fats in plastic because fat can absorb the stuff from inside the plastic and it can get in the fat and sit in there. So I like to buy my fats in glass as often as I can. So I'm trying to find a glass MCT oil, and that's what I'll use from now on. But if I'm using it to dilute, I just get a brand from Amazon that's in a little pump bottle. And Young Living does have a dilution blend. They call it V6, and it has different oils in it. It doesn't just have coconut oil, but it does have coconut oil and other things in it. And always keep those things near you. And don't ever try, if you get something in your eye, an oil, don't try to wash it out with water, because oil floats on water and it's going to go all over you. You want to use oil in that. Or in Will's case, one time he was driving, got peppermint in his eye, and he drove off the side of the road and actually put goat's milk all in his eye. Or maybe he waited till he got home and I put goat milk in his eye. But you're going to want to dilute that with an oil, not with water. So I do always, even in my bag that I carry all these oils in, I carry a little not empty, but I carry a little just brown bottle of olive oil. You can use olive oil too. Just make sure it's a good brand olive oil in there in case somebody gets something in their eye or, get something where it shouldn't be. And we put oil on it. So if y'all had any other questions, I think I'm better at answering the questions than I am. So one of the reasons I use oils internally, and like I said, go look at this. Look at that same lady, Jen O'Sullivan. She has a video on why she uses them internally and why she started, or maybe it was a podcast I was listening to. Things like you're eating things that aren't necessarily the best for you. You're eating fats out of plastic. You're doing all this stuff. So there's a lot of things in your body that are built up. Lemon oil, if you take lemon oil and you put it in a styrofoam cup, it's going to dissolve the styrofoam cup, which is why also you don't drink water. You use glass. This is glass to put essential oils in, and this has lime in it. But don't ever put your essential oil, if you're going to drink it in something, in a plastic water bottle, because it's going to dissolve all the plastic. So, but it does that in the body to the toxins and the things that we have in our body. It's going to start working on those things, and it's not like a immediate, but it's going to start working on those things. So I do things, lemon and lime, peppermint, those kinds of things I do take internally. So if there's nothing else though, apple cider vinegar. I use apple cider vinegar. I try to remember to take it daily. Very good for the gut. It's good for all kinds of things. And I also do apple cider vinegar baths for drawing out toxins. Is there something in specific? Actually, I take iodine during the day, and you're supposed to put your iodine, a little bit of it in a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So I do that, let it sit for about 30 seconds before I take it. So do try to take it every day. Yes, absolutely, for digestion. Yes, I used it with my grandmother all the time. I think that the Lloyds tried to use it. I think Regina tried to use it with Legend for her digestion issues. I don't know that it worked with her like reflux stuff that was going on. But yes, if Robert had digestion issues, I would have no problem using apple cider vinegar with him. We can get most supplements. When we got off the G-tube, it became really hard to get supplements down, Robert. But we have found products and things that make the stuff taste good, so we can still get a lot of our products down. Nupanex is one that we use. It's pretty gross, but so for reflux, how would you mix it? I would do. Okay, so for Dylan, he's tiny. I would have to look that up, but I would dilute it with water, and I would absolutely give it to him after a meal. So I wouldn't give it to him on an empty stomach. I would give it to him after a meal, which I take my apple cider vinegar on an empty stomach. I think it's better for digestion like that, but I don't know about a little one. So I would mix it with a little bit of water, and then I would put it in the G-tube. I don't know, Carrie. I would have to look it up for Dylan. I take like a half of a shot glass, maybe a teaspoon for him. I would look that up. I mean, I don't. Apple cider vinegar is a food. I don't think you're going to get too much. I mean, I'm sure you could, and since you're giving it to someone and not taking it yourself, it would be hard to judge. So, and take it. I mean, you take it. Everything I learned very early on that everything I used. Can you bring me the Gentle Babies book? Did I have it? I thought I had a copy of it. Hold on just a second, Abigail. I know there's one in there on my. I don't have the newest version, but so I learned early on to use these things on me before I use them on the kids. And one of our best, things about that is Card has always had nasal issues. His nasal passages are actually too small, and he can't really nose breathe. He's always mouth breathed. I really feel that has a lot to do with my diet while I was pregnant. It was not good, and I don't think that his face. If you ever read a Weston A. Price, a dentist who went around the world looking at other cultures and why do Americans need braces and tubes and all these things, and he found in other cultures that ate more traditional foods that their faces were fuller. Anyway, I'm getting off. So anyway, I made he had a saline solution he would use up his nose, and I thought, I'll put a drop of thieves in that. And so I did and shook it up. And this is before I didn't know to put oils in plastic either. And I shook it up. And so he's like 4. And the next time he comes in, I shake it and I squirt up his nose. And he was on the floor rolling around and just crying and screaming. He still to this day, he's like, have you done that? Do you know what that feels like? So definitely something that stayed imprinted on his brain. So while he was rolling around on the floor, I thought to myself, I should try these things on myself before I do them with my kids. So anything that you're going to do with your little ones, try it with you. With the apple cider vinegar, Carrie, take some and see. My grandmother used it all the time. She used to take Tums all the time. And 2 things that helped her, actually eating an apple helped her. I think the pectin in it helps with the digestion, but also the apple cider vinegar. Peppermint water also helped her. Although I've read conflicting things, some say peppermint actually makes the indigestion worse, and some people say it makes it better. For Nanny, it seemed to make it better. I would put a drop of peppermint in her water, and she would drink it and say, okay, yeah, that eased everything. Yes, tummy jize is a diluted oil that could be used on a crying colicky baby. So the other thing I would be looking at, though, like I talked about in the beginning, is food for Richard. I didn't know it at the time, but he was lactose intolerant. In there on my bookshelf with all my essential oil stuff are like 5 Gentle Babies books, 10 of them maybe. On the second shelf in the workout room. He's looking for something for you, Abigail. But yes, I mean, I've used essential oils Card was 6 months old when we started using them, but everybody else has been since day one. They've had oils used on them. Before there was tummy jize, there was dijize. And so dijize is something. Peppermint is something. That's old. Both of those are the old ones. I like peppermint better for tummy issues. Card likes dijize better because he doesn't like the smell of peppermint. So yes, you can use those. There is a whole book. This is an old copy. There's a very pretty new book on Amazon, and also Miss Deborah Rayburn. Miss Deborah Rayburn she's the master herbalist that that introduced me to Young Living Oils. In this book, you will see. So how she wrote this book, there's our family way before, I think Jack, we still had Jay Thomas and Robert after this. So that's Jack and up. So Miss Deborah called about 5 of us that she knew were using oils on our babies. And she said, what are you using? How are you using it? And we told her we're using this, this, and this. She did some research on the things, put it all together in this book. And so there's a really pretty copy though now. I think her website is Growing Healthy Homes, and it's on Amazon. I don't know which one is cheaper. So this will tell you all about colic. This one says ear infections, fear, fungal infections, hand and foot, mouth disease. So this will tell you all about them specifically for a baby. And it does have a dilution guide in it. I remember that. Here we go. Dilute all essential oils for toddlers and young children. When in doubt, mix a 1 to 30 blend. So that would be 1 drop of essential oil to 30 drops of MCT or coconut oil. But tummy jize is already done. Like I said, line and tummy jize would be one, and it's got fennel and no, it has fennel and ginger in it, both of which are really good for digestion and tummy issues. But also see if I don't know if your baby is breastfed. Maybe on all formulas have milk in them. A lot of them have soy in them. A lot of things, those are allergens that your little one can be. Okay, so Card was breastfed for the first 4 months. My midwife had me drinking a quart of milk a day to keep my milk supply up, and that's when it really hit me. That was going through, and he was getting that, and that's what was causing all his tummy issues. So when I learned that, I thought, oh my gosh, something that I'm drinking is going into my breast milk and going out. I mean, I really was naive. I had no idea. So you also can look at things that you're eating. I know garlic. One of my kids, I couldn't eat cheese with Bella when she was, somebody brought me a wonderful lasagna. I ate it. She was up all that night. She was a real calm baby, so I knew something was wrong. Didn't eat cheese again. I kind of tested it a couple times, and that was it. So sometimes there's things with your diet that you'll have to look at and kind of test. Broccoli, cauliflower, garlic, cheese. Yeah, I would think almond milk was okay. I'm a lot of people would call me a purist in things, especially before Robert's accident. Now that I've been humbled a lot, so there's a lot of things I've brought into my home that I did not have in my home before. But before Robert's accident, I made my own almond milk. I made it. I blanched the almonds, put it in the Vitamix, made my own. I didn't like the synthetic vitamins that they add to almond milk at the store. I didn't like the preservatives in the almond milk at the store, so I wouldn't drink it, and so I would make it myself. Like I said, I've been humbled a lot. There's a lot of things that have come into our home. There is another really good book I want to mention, not about essential oils, and I haven't actually finished it. I read, like I'm reading both of these books, Create a Better Brain and How to Feed a Brain. In How to Feed a Brain, it specifically talks about gluten and dairy being two of the worst things for your brain. So,
Let me say something really fast, Bev.
yes, ma'am.
The first 200 people that register for the conference get that book for free. So
Which one?
Our conference, the pediatric, the How to Feed the Brain.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. This has been, I have loved this. Yes. First 200 people. Okay.
We have a sponsor for 200 bucks. That's why it's 200.
Is this person speaking at it? Is he talking?
Yes. He has 2 different sessions. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. So like I said, I'm about halfway through it, but gluten and dairy are two of the things that I already have, me and my oldest and one of my sons, Jack, already have gluten issues. So gluten hasn't been in our home, but I haven't worried about it when we're out and about. You know, if we go somewhere, they get a burger. And I hadn't worried about it about Robert because, for the first 3 years until his accident, he didn't seem to have a problem with gluten. But now that I've been reading this and learning about how gluten actually interacts with the brain, and actually for me, how it interacts with my thyroid and those kinds of things, I'm like, okay, he needs no gluten, no dairy, and no sugar. Those are the 3 biggies. And for us, no sugar has been a thing for a long time. We haven't had sugar in our home in years. We use honey and maple syrup. Honey, we actually have bees, so we use honey more than anything else. But we haven't used sugar for years. So it creates too many behavioral problems in my kids anyway. Okay. You're gluten-free and dairy-free. Yay! Well, already then your little one, if he or she, sorry, Abigail, I don't know what you have, then they're not getting any gluten and dairy through that, so that's perfect. Hip dislocation, pain, discomfort, and anxiety. Copaiba, because it's the highest anti-inflammatory oil and helps with the cannabinoid receptors. Absolutely, Copaiba. Panaway is something, it has all kinds of good things. Helichrysum. There's so many. Helichrysum. And as far as anxiety, one of the cheapest oils that you can diffuse is lemon. Very good for depression and anxiety. It's just very uplifting. It's a cheap oil. You get it, you diffuse it. But again, I want to say don't diffuse or put on you or anything really substandard oils, low quality oils. You want to get something that's good, because if not, you're throwing your money away. Oils and herbs, both of them. I mean, with essential oils, we'll take cypress. Cypress essential oil is great for circulation. It has 200 constituents in it if it is planted properly, harvested properly, distilled properly at the right temperatures. All of these things, it has 200 constituents. They've tested essential oils off the shelf. I won't say any brand names, off the shelf. Cypress, 17 constituents. You're not going to get the same results with that. You just wasted that $5 or whatever you spent on that cypress, because you're not going to get the same results that you're going to get with one that's true and pure and has been harvested and done correctly. With something like jasmine, jasmine has to be hand-picked the day that it blooms, before the sun comes out, before the sun gets hot. It has to be hand-picked on the day it blooms, before the sun gets hot. I mean, who's doing that? Nobody. Nobody. These big mass production people, they're not. They're just buying it from China or wherever. They might not even be distilling it. They might just be buying the oil, but a lot of them buy the herbs. They distill them down, maybe not properly. They put it in a bottle. I read a thing the other day on how to sell your own essential oils on Amazon. Literally, you were buying them by a 5-gallon bucket from wherever. You were putting them in the bottles and putting your label on and putting them on Amazon. You're supposed to make thousands of dollars. I mean, you're supposed to make a living on that. So I trust these guys. I mean, I know people have kind of brand wars and they say, well, these guys have been around the longest. They were the first ones. When I signed up 15 years ago, this was it. There was nobody else. They hand weed. They use their own oils as pesticides on their crops. I mean, all of these things gets put into that. So it is very important to just make sure you're not buying something that is going to add to the toxic load of your body. So. Okay, so if that is it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I hope it was helpful. I get really nervous doing this. I do so much better like one-on-one talking to people. So